What's going on, guys? Welcome to what I guess is the first episode of what I'm gonna go ahead and call the CoffeeCast. The CoffeeCast, Coffee Podcast. My name is Brandon Havron, and I will be your host for the day. Uh, just gonna be me today. Unfortunately, no one's around this weekend, so kind of hard to get people to record a podcast with if none of my friends are in the area. So, for the introductory episode, I figured that I'd just kind of talk about, my feelings on coffee, kind of my, I guess, stance on coffee drinking and whatnot, and maybe dive into kind of what I get at Starbucks and things like that. I mean, I've written posts about it, but I guess I can kind of give more on the fly input here than I would in that capacity. So, I guess we'll just jump right into it. So, I guess my thoughts on coffee are just generally not a fan. Um, just never really liked the taste all that much. It might just be from a bitterness standpoint. I mean, I've never really liked bitter things. I've always been kind of more towards sweet things. I mean, I'm a bit of a larger person, so I mean, I always say that I'm kind of a savory fat, not a sweet fat. But when it comes to drinks, I definitely kind of lean the opposite way, more towards the sweet end of the spectrum. A lot of sugary things. Trying to get off of that though. Really drinking a lot of iced tea right now. Recommend it, unsweetened and whatnot. But yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to. Is just never really been a fan of the bitterness, and I mean just not really huge into hot drinks either. So I mean, again, I drink iced tea, I drink ice water, I drink, soda that's iced, and I mean, coffee just never really fit into that, kind of spectrum for me because it's honestly the exact opposite of what I like to drink. But you know what? I'm here now. I'm, doing blog posts on coffee and, living the dream, I guess you could say. Taking the perspective of the coffee avoider, someone who's really just kind of here along for the ride and getting through it. And I guess something that I should probably clarify is I have tried coffee. I've given it the old college try, I guess you could say. Tried it with creamer, tried it with sugar. I don't know, man. Just plain liquid coffee. It doesn't do it for me. Just not enough, not sweet enough for me, and taste buds just don't agree with it. But that's besides the point. Um, I guess that should kind of lead me into my next point here about what I would order at Starbucks, if I end up going. I mean, obviously I don't go very often since I'm not a huge coffee person, but if I go, I, usually stick to the frappe side of the menu, the mocha cookie crumble that they had here these last couple months has kind of been a go-to for me because, I mean, it's basically a chocolate milkshake with a hint of coffee to it, and that's got cookie crumbs on top of it, and who the heck doesn't like Oreos? I mean, if you don't, that's your opinion, but you're entitled to your wrong opinion, I guess. Um, but if I'm not feeling like going on the chocolatey route, then kind of a fan of the strawberry refresher. I do know some people who have suggested get the strawberry refresher and get lemonade mixed with it, which as someone who has thoroughly enjoyed strawberry lemonade their entire life, I think that might be something worth looking into. But you know what? That's for another time. Stay tuned for a post about that and how that's changed my viewpoint on the strawberry refresher on its own. Um, Also, life hack: if you get the strawberry refresher, get it with no ice. So then you're actually getting more of the drink. Because I'll tell you what, they will load that cup from bottom to top with ice, and you get maybe half a drink that you're paying, $5 for. And stereotypical college kid here trying to make the most of my money, especially when I'm paying rent and whatnot. It works out better. Something that I never knew about Starbucks, as I'm kind of sitting here looking through their menu, trying to kind of come up with talking points on the go. Apparently, they have cream frappuccinos for whatever reason, and I've honestly never even heard of that. The weird thing to me is that looking here through their menu on it, it honestly looks like the composition is about the same as a normal one. I mean, here, let's go ahead and open another tab and we'll look here and see if I'm right in that assumption. Back to the Frappuccino menu. Mocha Cookie Crumble. This is the beauty of having two monitors, by the way. Whole milk. So it looks like the only real difference here between the cream frappuccino and the normal mocha cookie crumble, I mean, and again, this is just comparing these two, so I'm assuming that the others will vary, but they have an entire menu that's dedicated to the normal and then some to the cream. It looks like the only difference here is the normal mocha cookie has 3 pumps of the Frappuccino roast put into it, as well as the Frappuccino chips. The cream does not have that option. However, everything else stays consistent here, so I think what it kind of is that the cookie crumble cream Frappuccino is not so much a mocha as it is more just a chocolate beverage, so I think that really would kind of fit in with my perspective on it, that it really is just a chocolate milkshake with cookie crumbs on top of it. As much as I was kind of nonchalantly throwing that out there, it looks like this is the cream frappuccino is really more based for those people that want, something a little lighter, not really looking for a coffee, but looking for something that still comes from that Starbucks experience. Like, I think if I was on my way home from class on a Tuesday night and I get out of class a little after 9, I feel like this would be something that if I were to stop at the Starbucks on the way home, I'd get the cream one, just because what do I need the caffeine for at 9 p.m., at that point, if I'm drinking anything, I'm drinking water, because I'm on my wind down for the night. And I don't know. Wow, that kind of amazes me that I had never seen this part of the menu before. I guess, let's look at the pumpkin spice and see what the difference is. Yeah, guys, so it looks like the big difference here, and I mean, I know you can't see because this is an audio recording. It looks like the big difference is that the quote-unquote Frappuccino roast that's blended in isn't in any of the cream Frappuccinos. So it's definitely for a lighter coffee experience. Or, I mean, in all reality, they might as well just call it a shake menu, because that's definitely what it looks like it is. It's just a blended shake at that point. But I'm getting off topic. Something that really surprises me, though, is that, I mean, I don't know if I just haven't been looking at the menu closely enough or what, but I don't usually see these beverages split up, so I guess the only one that I've seen that comes up on this cream menu that wasn't on the normal is the double chocolatey chip, which that sounds good. I mean, again, it's a chocolate chip milkshake. Who wouldn't want that, I guess, is the real question. But that's enough about the Frappuccino menu at Starbucks. I don't know. I think that I've kind of grown an appreciation for coffee as the semester has gone on. Written several posts, even looked at coffee alternatives, which that's another thing, is I guess that I just kind of like the alternatives more. For example, I mean, drinking lemonade right now. I honestly, if I'm waking up in the morning and having something with breakfast, I'll pour myself a glass of lemonade. Won't even think about coffee or anything like that. And I mean, I know there's people out there who can't start their morning without a coffee, I mean, I think my dad's kind of along those lines, where makes his coffee every morning, and that's just kind of his start. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of a difference in us as people, that we each have our preferences, no matter where they would fall on the coffee spectrum. It's not exactly this massive disparity between us or anything. Um, but I mean, like I wrote in my post about coffee alternatives, I like tea. Tea is really good to me. Which is funny because I drink unsweet tea, but the bitterness is the thing that turns me off of coffee. But what can you do? Um, but I also, I think I mentioned Glitch Energy, and while that's been sold out for a while, what I have had of that is really good. Just picture fruit punch flavored Kool-Aid with some different minerals in it that kind of improve your focus and your kind of focus your mind without needing that caffeine that would eventually crash you by the end of that. It's more of a light letdown. I think that's another thing just about caffeine in general that I've never really appreciated is the fact that I'm only drinking this because I know that it's kind of a pick me up. Like for example, I have a 2-hour drive home after every break that we have here at Ball State just because I live 2 hours away. And the big thing is that I'll always end up stopping at the same spot. I always stop at the same gas station, get myself 32-ounce Pepsi, 32-ounce Coke, whatever I'm feeling, just something that has some caffeine in it to help me close out that drive. But I mean, by the time I get home, I'm tired because it's like I'm starting to crash from the caffeine, which again, that's the risk you run when you drink it. But I mean, it's also one of those things where it's like you'd think it's 2019, man. You'd think at this point we'd have some kind of an alternative that's more readily available than things like Glitch or G Fuel, where I mean, they're not even on store shelves, they're only online. You'd think that we'd kind of be pushing for those things that are kind of more alternative to coffee, broaden the horizons that our grocery stores are carrying. And I mean, again, it's 2019. How have we not had any focus on coming up with something that gives you that energy without the crash like Glitch does? And I mean, I guess that's one of the beauties of Glitch and kind of its whole marketing spiel that, excuse me, its whole marketing spiel that it's different than the competitors, and it really is, because unlike all these other caffeinated formulas or drinks, Glitch has this whole shtick that you don't crash. You don't crash because there's no caffeine in it. The minerals that they put in it, they, let you down easier, and that's again something that I really appreciate about the formula. And I guess that's another reason why I'm just not huge into coffee, is because drink the coffee, crash in a couple hours. I mean, middle of my day, I'd be slugging. But I mean, it is what it is. It comes down to everyone has their personal preference. I have mine. I know Coffee Block has quite a few different, 4 different perspectives. Macy and I are basically opposites. Macy's the coffeeholic, I guess, is I think the name she gave her perspective, and she loves coffee. And I mean, just difference in lifestyle it could be. I mean, again, my dad drinks coffee all the time, but it was never something that was super big in our house. I mean, our house put a bigger focus on, pretty much every night when we'd sit down at dinner, there'd be a can of Pepsi, can of Mountain Dew, can of something sugary and delicious sitting in front of you, and pour that over some ice, and that was what you drank. I mean, and going through elementary school and middle school, I was never like, you know what, I gotta grab myself a mug of coffee before I leave the house. I mean, it was always, I just need to get out of the house and get to school on time. That's really kind of where I spent most of my schooling. But here I am, for your listening pleasure or detriment, whichever you'd prefer to consider me. But besides the point, I guess the big thing is, if you like coffee, don't let me deter you from that. I mean, if you don't like coffee, then hey, we're in the same boat. Try to make interesting content for those people. So, I guess the big thing is we've got enough different perspective to the blog where regardless of your coffee consuming habits, I'm sure you can find something to kind of go along with. But yeah, guys, that's just kind of my perspective on coffee, kind of an impromptu revelation on the Starbucks menu, and some pretty decent ramblings there towards the end. Think we really tied it together there. All right, I guess I'll talk to you all on the next episode of the CoffeeCast. And if you guys have any suggestions for topics to cover in a future episode, just go ahead and leave those in the comments on the YouTube link. All right, thanks, guys.